All right, what did one fly say to the other? Is this stool taken? Ew. Flies are gross. All right, chapter 27. Illusions, delusions, and more nightmares. When dawn broke, there was no land in sight, not even a sliver. The land had been an illusion, one they had all shared. Now all they saw was the open ocean. It was a huge disappointment. Not as great as the ship sailing away, but it was a blow. They were all alone on the vast sea. A speck, a dot, that no one could see. But the speck was a boat, and on that boat were 46 people. Each person had a life, a story. A life worth living and a story worth telling. Would they get to tell it? Would they get to live out their lives? War was raging in other places, on land, on sea. By the time the Second World War was over, more than 60 million people would die. Would these 6 boys and the others be among them? 60 million. A number as incomprehensible as the expanse of the ocean. After the last 2 days, life seemed but a dream. There was some good news. The weather was decent again, and Ken was a bit better, but he wasn't good. None of the boys were. Mary Cornish and Father Roy O'Sullivan. All the adults were seriously worried about the boys. Bill and Howard, Derek and Ken, Fred and Paul were horribly thirsty. Their limbs and muscles hurt. Their feet were sore. Doug Critchley showed the others how to chafe the boys' feet. And he wrapped one of the boys in his arms, tucking the sore feet under his own shirt. The boys were getting weaker by the minute. They would drift into the other world, slowly but inevitably, if rescue did not come. Many of the Lascars were in the same state. Several of them were lying on the bottom of the boat, barely conscious. Father Roy suggested to Bode and Nagorski that the Lascars might feel better if they were touched too. Those who didn't have shoes on were in pain. Their feet were red and swollen and covered with sores. Why not paint their feet with iodine? Iodine is used to prevent infection in sores. Nagorski agreed it was a good idea. He found iodine in the boat's first aid kit and spent almost 2 hours painting feet and massaging legs. How much it would help, Nagorski didn't know, but it raised the men's spirits and his too. It made him feel good to be of use. It was the 7th day. There was nothing to do but rest. In all of creation they could see only each other and the vast ocean. When George Purvis sent the noontime water around, he knew it was the last time they would have water at midday. He didn't tell anyone, but the water was almost gone. There would be time for that kind of bad news. Purvis and Ronnie Cooper were well aware that if they were not rescued in a day or two, people would start to die, the children first. Nagorski had told the boys he would give them their pocket money when they were rescued. Now Father Roy heard him say he'd double it. Nagorski now was known as the millionaire, or even the billionaire, thinking about what they would buy once they were rescued. This picked up the boys for a while. Father Roy heard them talking about what they'd drink when they got home, and he became even more thirsty, though he hadn't thought that was possible. Mary managed to tell some more Bulldog Drummond episodes, though whether they could understand her, she didn't know. She couldn't understand herself. Then it was night again. They had made it through another day. But there was no relief from pain and fear and agony that night. Paul Shearing became delirious. Mary wanted to rub his feet, but they were so sore that he couldn't stand to have her touch them. She stayed close and watched helplessly as he became more and more terrified. It was a clear night, and the moonlight was playing a trick on him, shining through the rigging and creating bars. Paul thought he was behind bars in prison. He rolled from side to side trying to get out of prison. But he knew he wasn't actually in prison. That terrified him even more, because he was certain he was going crazy. He screamed and cried and shouted, his words piercing the silent night. I'm mad, I know I'm going mad. Mary and Roy tried to calm him down. They were terrified themselves. What was happening to this poor boy? Then word was whispered to them. The others in the boat were getting upset by Paul's screams. Ronnie Cooper warned them to keep Paul quiet. Cooper knew everyone had to stay calm to keep control. Their boat had become a community, but at this point everyone was fragile, and the bonds might be too. Mary tried to hold Paul close, but when she touched him, he screamed even more. Father Roy sent word to Cooper and Purvis that Paul needed water. Knowing everyone on the boat wanted and needed water, Cooper was reluctant. What if this one act of kindness caused a revolt? But how could they not help the boy? They managed to secretly give Paul a few drops. Father Roy gave Paul the last rites in case he should die. He spoke in Latin. Prestam sanctam unctianum et suam pismiam Pisierdam indul tibi dominus quided ber visuum delicusti amen. Puristum sanctum uncium et suam pissimam misericordam. Those are Latin words. To some on the boat, even though they didn't know the words, Father Roy's voice was soothing, peaceful. A certain calm descended, but Paul was still upset. Harry Peard came to take a look at what was going on. Paul was begging for more water. Using the toughness he was famous for, Peard told Paul he would get more water in the morning. Paul said he wanted it now. Peard told him, "You'll get plenty of water when we are rescued. What else is wrong?" he demanded. "My feet are cold," Paul answered in a small voice. Peard yelled at Mary to rearrange the jacket, her own jacket, that was around the boy's feet. She did. "Warm now?" he said to Paul. Paul said his feet were still cold. Doug Critchley offered his jacket. Peard took it and covered Paul's feet with that too. Paul was still cold. "No," said Peard, "you're warm enough. No more. No more yelling. Do you hear? And are your feet warm enough?" "Yes," said Paul. Peard went back to his part of the boat, mumbling about how badly Mary and Father Roy were taking care of the boys. Miraculously, his tough love worked. Paul calmed down. Ken offered to lie beside him with his friend next to him. Paul went to sleep, and all was quiet until the morning. Another disaster averted. There was no mutiny. When the sun rose, everyone, including Paul, was alive, but they couldn't last much longer. The water jug was almost empty.